And we are back with another Black with No Cream podcast. New episode every single Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, a.k.a. Ben Reverse World. And today is episode number 6. We are halfway through season 2 of the Black with No Cream podcast, which is pretty dope. We've had a great run so far. And I feel to hit that middle marker, we got to come out with some heaters. And what better way to get a heater than to bring Misshattan on the podcast? Who is Misshattan? Natalie Amrossi? Who's Natalie? I thought you'd never ask. Have you ever thought about getting in a helicopter, opening the door, have you ever thought about getting in a helicopter with no door and then hanging your body out with your camera because you like taking pictures? Natalie has. And today we're going to talk about it. Natalie's a photographer, an aerial photographer is what most people know her for. She's flown and traveled all over the world, capturing from different vantage points of some of the most gorgeous city shots. Like if you've ever seen an epic shot of New York in the air, it's probably from Natalie. And today we get to discuss that. We get to discuss what that's like and how she got into it, her story coming into the game, quitting her full-time job, working for JP Morgan. She literally quit one day and went full-time freelance. How she was able to do that. The story is pretty sick. And she's just so humble and so open to sharing advice and how to get into this space, to work with brands and be an active creator she's so connected. She's tied in with everyone, and she literally runs New York. Like, if you got to think about it on this podcast, we got Natalie, who runs New York, but we also have Atiba Jefferson, who runs LA. You know what I mean? So it's cool to have people that are staples in their city, and to be that person that people could just know who you are because the work of documenting the city and documenting the culture is so prominent. So pumped to have Natalie on the show today. But before we get into the podcast, if you're new here and you don't know what Black with No Cream is, it's a creator podcast, but we also have a creative community. And it's probably my favorite thing on the planet because it's a safe space for creators to come together, share their ideas, get advice, ask questions, build friendships, create their network, get job opportunities. And one thing that I like that we're doing is going live within the community to kind of do a book club for the podcast where we discuss different episodes, and sometimes I'm able to bring special guests. So I've been gearing up and trying to organize some time with the past episode guests to go in and catch up with them and allow Q&As to happen. So I'm going to try to arrange that with Natalie. We've done one with Rory before. It's been so cool to just hear people's takeaways from the podcast and discuss the podcast at length. So if you want to join the community, you should do it. It's $1. So just type in $1 when you do the checkout, and the first month is $1. It's a great space for creators to come together, and I hope that you join us. But anyways, I would love to drink this coffee so I can fully wake up. And before I do that, I think I'm going to shoot you over to the podcast set where I recorded this episode with Natalie. So let's get to it right. Boom! We got the eye of the sky.
Ooh, I like that.
The Queen of the East.
Oh, Queen of the East. Okay.
I'm going to try to think of something funny for a third one. The chopper. I don't have another one, but we got Misshattan in the house.
Wow. What an intro, guys. What an intro.
You would think I would have thought of those first, so I had something prepared to come in hot. But I
liked it.
I just winged it. I'm sorry.
It's dope.
How you doing? Straight off the plane, straight to Burbank.
I know. It feels so surreal.
Yeah.
I know.
Are you excited for this weekend?
Oh, hell yeah.
She's here for Complex Con. We're all doing Complex Con.
Yes, sir.
It should be pretty tight. Shout out to Canon. I'm glad that we were able to do this because I have this ongoing list of people, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like I poked at you before to get on the show or whatever. I was like, whenever you're in LA, but it's hard to cross paths like that.
Yeah.
So the fact that we were able to do this on this random, the fact that you were coming for this and being able to pull you in here, thank you for giving us some time.
Thanks for having me.
She waited an hour and 40 minutes in an Uber to get here.
That was terrible.
I know. I'm so sorry.
I can't believe it. I thought it was going to be 30 minutes, 25 minutes.
It ain't like that. It's always shitty. It's always shitty. I don't like it.
Man.
But I think
LA,
I've been very much a fan of your work. I'm very jealous of what you get to do.
Oh, stop it.
I've made you promise that you'll take me up in a helicopter at some point.
Oh, for sure. We have to.
It's the coolest shit. The photography, the way you see the sky or the world is I just love the perspective.
Have you done it?
No. Fuck
Wait,
no.
what?
I've flown in a chopper once.
Yeah, once. But it was like some fucking...
Were the doors open?
No.
Oh,
It was
you
like
need the
regular...
doors open.
Yeah, is it tight?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
There's so many questions I have, but I don't want to just get into that part first, but I am jealous and I do envy it. And I think it's really fucking cool what you do. And you've been getting your work's ridiculous. And I know there's so much behind the story, and that's what we do here. We like tell creator stories, and I want to like kind of start at the beginning to kind of learn your past so we can try to, share that come up factor to the audience that's listening. So I am curious, like born and raised in New York?
Born and raised, Queens.
Queens?
Yep.
But then you coined Misshattan?
I mean, I'm a New Yorker.
Right, facts.
I mean, what
is
are
it all
you
the same shit? Is it all the same shit?
New York is New York. Listen, I grew up in Queens. I moved to Brooklyn when I was like 13. Still went to high school in Queens. Went to school in Brooklyn and then Long Island. So I graduated Stony Brook and then moved to Manhattan.
Right.
So that was it was all over the place.
What was it like growing up in New York? Like, I'm from Iowa, right? So I'm surrounded by corn. You're surrounded by like concrete and people. Yes, a shit ton of fucking people.
Especially in Queens.
Yes, yeah. What was it like growing up there and like, in your younger age, like what were you up to? Like what were you into?
It's kind of like what I do now when I travel and I meet all these people from all over the world. Like in Queens, I went to class with every race, every religion, like would go to their house, eat Indian food, Chinese food, like all of it. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. You're exposed to so much.
Yeah. Was it for you getting a camera in your hand? I know that you went like a traditional route first, right? And then pivoted later on. But like how did you find interest in the arts early on? Like what was it? Was it being around people? Were there people that you were growing up with that started kind of like dabbling in the arts or anything like that? Like,
I think you're either born a creative or you're not, right? Yeah, and it doesn't apply just for one thing like photography. No, like I grew up, I loved cooking, I loved art, drawing, painting, like music. Like I'm just like that's my life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I just kind of got lucky that I figured it out. I figured out that, photography is such a big part of what I enjoy doing, and I'm able to make a living out of it.
Right, that's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, I know it is wild.
I mean, you too,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I think about it every day. I'm like, how nuts is it that I can like, I don't have to go clock into something that I, maybe I'm not inspired by or whatever, just get caught in that thing that this camera allows me to have the freedom to just do random shit, get into weird shit. You know what I mean? Like it's the coolest. Like I don't know. But for me, I found my connection to my cameras through like skate culture and shit. How did you find your connection?
I feel like a lot of people who are in the video world, they started in the skate culture, right?
Almost all the time. Or snowboarding.
Right.
It's like those two worlds seem to blend together. And it's been common. It's like a common theme for people who sit in the chair that usually does come from that. Like for, I don't know, it's just street culture. It's like, you get into wild things and you can the possibilities of capturing things are endless, right? But how was it for you? Like, how did you first like dabble into?
So I, me and my close friend, my best friend, growing up, we loved photography and we loved filmmaking. Like we were, when the Blair Witch Project came out, we got one of those camcorders and we're like, let's record our own little Blair Witch scene. And we did that. And then it like snowballed into I was like 12 years old, snowballed into this whole like summer of doing the Water Boy, like scenes from our favorite movies, The Water Boy, Miss Doubtfire. Like, we
just like recreating? Like you were just recreating scenes?
We would use the effects on the camera. You know how you can transition, and we'd film a Freddy Krueger scene. She would put my best friend would put forks on her hand as her it was just we would just get creative and have fun with it.
That's so cool.
And I my parents are immigrants. Like I did not think that I was going to be a creative growing up. That was not in my plan. Like no one in my family did it. Like my mom loves art as well, but you don't grow up wanting to be a photographer. That's wild.
What do you think it was about you and your friend? Was it just like the art, like the idea of going to movies and like seeing films that made you feel interested in that, or like what was it about you two that you feel like connected to that industry, or not? Maybe obviously you didn't look at it as an industry, right?
We were just being creative.
Yeah.
We were kids being creative. We would bring the camcorders out with our friends and go bike riding, or bring our cameras out. Like it was fun to be able to capture a moment. Like it's fascinating if you really think about it. The fact that we're able to, like, iPhones and stuff are crazy to me. The fact that now kids can look back on their childhood and TikToks and crazy. It's wild.
Fully produced videos, which is like
right.
beyond me, because it was always, that is true. I forgot about like the early days of trying to like in camera edit, and we would make like movies like we want to make green monsters, and we would just paint ourselves with green paint, like wall paint,
right.
and then just like cruise around our bikes for it to dry, and then
what a time.
It was a time. It was cool. Yeah. So then what, where does that go for you? Like how, in school, were there classes? Was there any like sort of education that way?
So I minored in theater arts just to have fun with it. You know, I got a bachelor's in finance, and then I was like, you know what, for my minor, I want to do what I want to do. And what interested me was like theater arts, and it was cool. It was, improv class and building set design and, just creative shit.
Right.
And that's what fed my soul.
So was the finance part of it, like what got you into the finance game?
I just thought I wanted to make money. I just wanted to make money.
Yeah.
I thought that would be a good route. I'm not interested in science. They don't want to be a doctor. Like, law was cool, but like, I'm not going to school for law. Like, I didn't like going to school. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a creative.
I want in and out.
Right. So I got my degree in finance, got a job at JP Morgan, and I worked there for a couple of years. Still did my photography thing on the side just because it's my passion. Not
like just
street
shooting.
photography.
Yeah, just shooting.
Street photography.
Yeah.
Go on rooftops and get what I get and of course shooting the street. Like that's what I loved.
Right.
And social media like changed everything for a lot of us. You know what I mean? And my friend suggested I download IG. In the early days, like this is like 2012.
This is Freddy Krueger friend or a different friend?
No, a different friend.
Okay,
a different friend.
All right, bet.
Yeah, and it kind of just snowballed from there. Like it kind of just blew up.
So when you were like doing, because early, your first interest seemed to be like video creation, right? And then at some point it transitioned to photography primarily, right? What was that like? Was there always like an inkling like, oh, I would love to make films, or I just like capturing photos, or at some point did you end up getting like a still camera and you were just always like, whatever it was that you and your friends were up to, you're always capturing the shit? Like where did you feel your passion or love was coming from?
So my family loves to travel. So we would travel everywhere, and I'd always have a camcorder and a camera of some sort. And photography was one of those things that you can always have in your back pocket and you have access to it. So on my way to work, I would just shoot. I didn't make films or anything like that, but I would take photos and I enjoyed it.
Right.
So it was just like a way to just be creative.
You're on the way to work is probably on a train, right?
I actually lived not too far. That I moved to Manhattan, so I would like just walk and shoot.
Right.
Sometimes I take the train to like get some different shots. Sometimes you could always switch it up.
What were like the things you were trying to shoot at that time? Was it like buildings, people? Was it just anything that you saw?
Anything that caught my eye. Buildings, people, street shit. Like.
Did you ever have like a fear of like I think there was I always remember like trying to do street photography, or like when I would go out and have my camera and you like see stuff and you want to shoot stuff, and it was easier obviously with like a longer lens, but if you're like walking right up to fire off a shot at someone, did you ever get like nervous about shooting people or how they might react, or did you ever just keep it moving?
I think you build a tolerance for that, right?
Yeah.
So at first you kind of feel awkward, right? You obviously don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable, but then like you learn how to approach people, and you learn what situations you should shoot and what you shouldn't shoot. And you're friendly. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been probably once or twice where somebody's like, I don't want my photo taken. And I'm like, all good.
Right.
And then we struck a conversation, and then they want their photo taken.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah. You just have to like talk to people and make people feel comfortable. That's all it really is.
It's exactly like you've seen on TikTok where people go up to the random person at a Starbucks and they go, I do photography. Can I take a photo of you? And they're like, nah.
Right.
Those fucking corny ass.
Right.
God damn it.
Those are blowing up.
I know. It's crazy. And then those people become like people. Like they become fucking big photographers somehow.
They're gonna be here on Black.
They might be. I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying.
Right.
The videos are corny as fuck.
Right.
When you were starting to do that and you're working, you're like going to JP Morgan. You got the job, so cool. You're like, I'm gonna make money. This might be it or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you start the job thinking I don't want to do this, or like I don't want to do this forever, or were you starting the job and just keeping photography as like a side hustle? Obviously, I guess you weren't turning it into a business for yourself yet, right?
No.
So you were just, this was fun. This is my payday.
Right. That's exactly what it was. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be a broker. I'm going to like navigate. I knew I just wanted to just make a good living.
Yeah.
I didn't want to struggle. I didn't want my parents to worry. And I knew I loved art on the side. And I was like, all right, so this is my passion. I'm going to keep doing it. Nothing's going to stop me from doing that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until people started to see my work that I was actually able to get jobs, get branded jobs and good paying jobs, that I was like, wait a minute, I can make a living like, what am I doing here?
So that started happening while you were at work, like while you had your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So what was some of the first like gigs, if you call it that, like like the work that you were doing?
So the first thing that really changed my life, like I was doing a lot of street and roof-topping, right?
Right.
And then I got hit up by a helicopter company to take my first helicopter flight.
They hit you up?
They hit me up.
Oh,
They're
cool.
like, we love your photography. Like come up, and I was like, of course. Back then, I would, I was into all of that.
Yeah.
That changed my life just because I love to fly. Like any city I travel to, I make sure I get in a helicopter. Like have to. Oh my God, yeah.
Just cruising over and shooting
if I'm I did a road trip by myself once from like LA to Arizona, driving through Utah, and in Utah I like drove past the helicopter, and I literally did a U-turn and just like went right in and found the guy. I was like, yo, can we fly? And he was like, you want to fly? And it was dope.
That's so tight.
So that was like one of the first really cool things that came from that. But the brands that I started working with was like the Jordan brand, which I grew up collecting Jordan. So that was like a dream of mine. And I didn't even know it was a dream of mine then, because I just loved the brand so much. So to be able to shoot for them was like super dope.
What was that, like streetwear? Like
streetwear stuff, yeah, like in basketball courts, like shooting players. Like I loved it. And I played basketball for 2 years too. So for me it was like, all right, I could like dabble into things that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Like that's fun.
Right.
Cool. But what made me quit my job was I was working with Jaguar.
Sick.
I know. And
they found you, you reached out, like how
they found me.
Crazy.
I know.
Shout out to the internet, man.
I know.
It's fucking nuts.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They found me. They hit me up. We built a partnership together. I remember they flew me out in first class for my first time in first class to London. I remember being in the lounge like crying, like I'm not worthy. Like why am I here? Why is everyone so nice to me? It was just such
more
a crazy,
champagne.
I know.
Right.
It was just crazy.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and we built a really good creative connection where like we would bounce creative ideas off each other.
Wait, why did they fly? What were you going to London for?
That was for a car reveal. So
Okay.
I did like a weekend there.
Like just running and gunning with the car, like out in the real world environment, or like studio?
No, they had like a whole reveal, like a whole,
Event.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then, then when I came back to New York, they would give me a car every weekend.
To just shoot?
Whatever I wanted to do. We would just...
What the fuck?
I had creative freedom. I would literally Friday, 5 p.m. I would leave the office and someone would hand me the keys, and I would just drive around and like take photos, make videos. Like I just,
Yeah, I don't know actually.
Right,
I don't
right.
just get handed a Jag real quick when I'm leaving work. That's so crazy.
Wild.
What was the like at that time, like because I'm assuming this is coming from like people seeing your work and your growth on Instagram.
Yep.
Do you know what your Instagram was at like at that point in time for
Not
followers?
Even a
Was
lot,
it large?
like 50K.
Right.
Like
So they're just-
nothing even crazy. Like
are they like their goal when they're working with you is like, cool, obviously we see her work, she's crushing it.
right.
We can repurpose the fuck out of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And did they have goals like what they wanted to use the social, like was it all social? Was it like campaign? Like were they trying to like run it for ads? Like
It was both. So I would shoot commercial stuff for them, and then I'd also do social campaigns for them. So I got to kind of dabble in both, and that was great. And they gave me a lot of creative freedom.
Yeah.
Right. So I had told them, I was like, yo, I want a red F-Type. That's what I want. That's their sports car.
Okay, tight.
They made it happen. And that weekend, I was like, I'm just going to pull up in like the wildest places in New York and just like pull up in the middle of the street and shoot the car. So I picked obviously Sunday night. It's the quietest the city is, if it's even that quiet, whatever.
Right.
And I was out all night from like 2 to 6 in the morning shooting.
God damn.
Went to Times Square, like parked in the middle of Times Square. Cops would pull up on the side of me and I'm like, I'm sorry, officer, I'm just taking a picture, show them my camera. And they'd be like, nah, like
she loves her car.
Nah, they're like, where'd you get that car?
Yeah, it's mine.
And I was like, I'm just shooting for them. And they're like, no, it's all good. You can. They actually, I actually convinced the police officer to be in a social post and a photo for me.
Like what? Post it up?
So Jag had a campaign called Good to Be Bad.
Okay.
So I had the red F-Type and I had a cop in back of it, like it stopped it, and a cop arresting me. Like
were you by
I had a tripod.
You just hit self timer and ran and act like you were getting.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's so tight.
And it was just a fun. My caption, I remembered, it was like, I'm sorry, officer. If you wanted to drive it, I would have just given you the keys.
Yeah,
nice. It was just fun to be creative.
Yeah. So what?
So that night I got home, showered, went straight to the office. And back then I used to bring my camera to the office every day. But this morning I didn't. And I'm just sitting at my desk, like wishing I could just see what photos I got. Like I was all over New York with a car in the middle of the street. Like I wanted to see the photos. And it was eating me alive. I was getting like a panic attack and I was getting really anxious. So I like turned to my friend at work and I was like, Christine, I think I'm going to quit. And she's like, you haven't slept. Like, go home and go to sleep. And if you want to quit tomorrow, I know. She's like, if you want to quit tomorrow.
Right.
And I was like, you're right. Sat back at my desk and I was just, again, I feel it now, like the anxiety of like, well, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, fuck it, I got to do it now. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it.
How do you actually quit a 9 to 5? I've never really had one.
You resign. You give them a 2 weeks notice.
Okay, so you had to wait 2 weeks. You couldn't just go
no, you go in, you let them know, hey, I'm giving you my 2 weeks. I'll help you find somebody and
roll out.
Peace out.
How fucking good did that feel? Or how scared were you? Was it both?
Oh my God, it was both. Yeah.
Because at the time, Jaguar is paying you to do like week or you said you get a new car every 2 weeks. So is it like
every week.
Is it like that? Is it like they're just like every time you shoot some shit, we give you some money, or is it like a contract or some shit?
Yeah, we had different deals for different projects.
Right. So you kind of knew, all right, there's cushion.
I was like, I have something here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't as much money as I was making at my office, but
right.
I was like, all right, but then I'll have all this extra time to find another client and do other things.
Right.
Like,
who else was doing shit that was like that you were you paying attention to anyone? Like
yeah, I mean, the only person that I know that was like a full-time photographer was like maybe like Van Styles and like 13th Witness. Like there wasn't many.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I remember talking to Timmy before and Van like wanting to quit, and they're like, when you want to make the jump, you'll know.
Right.
And then
that was it.
That was what it was.
Did they have similar paths? Like they felt that too?
No, Timmy was, Timmy's dad is Futuro. Like he grew up in the art world.
Right,
like,
right.
That was different.
Right.
I don't know. No, Van had a different style too. He was also in the video and skate culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You need to get them.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Hook it up.
I
just need plugs, It's just little plugs.
That's easy.
I
didn't even try my black with no cream.
We'll give it a shot. Tell us what you think.
Smells good.
Just some regular brand from Whole Foods.
I like it.
It's good.
I know, but sometimes
I know they're trash.
I
There's
know.
some trash ones. Shout out to K-Cups.
I had high expectations. I was like, you better have some.
Yo, all my coffee shit's at my house back home. So normally I do like a little pour over thing, or I would just go to fucking grab some Starbucks or something.
Right.
It is what it is. When you quit, you started that. Was that like one client for a while, or did you start getting to work on like trying to figure out how to make more clients? I definitely
had more clients. I don't remember the timeline. Everything is a blur.
Yeah.
But like I slowly started to figure things out. I remember I was traveling to LA and I was like traveling a lot.
Yeah.
So when I quit, I actually, my 2 weeks notice turned into a month. Like they needed more time to find somebody to take my place.
Oh, wow.
So I was there for a month, and that whole time I didn't tell my mom that I quit my job. my dad knew, and my dad, like, he was like, I trust, like, you're good. Like, my dad's an entrepreneur. He like takes risks. My mom's worried.
Right.
So
Mom, look at these fucking photos.
I know.
They're so sick.
I know, right? But she,
she wants what's
especially
best.
back then, you don't really know. Like,
of course.
Now you could know you want to do this and hustle hard and make it happen.
Yeah, true.
But back then it was still, social was so early.
Yeah, no, I feel you. So do you eventually tell her, or do you wait till you were like out the doors?
My last day at work, I had like this like IG post of like with the caption of like new beginnings, and
your mom found out through Instagram,
which is surprising because she doesn't like speak
want to
English
make her feel
that
at ease.
Right.
Really?
And I was surprised she even like, she was like, "Did you quit your job today?" And I was like, yeah, mama.
Oh no.
And she's like, okay. She was fine with it.
Oh, really?
She knew I had a lot going on.
She's like,
she saw how busy I was. So
right.
She,
So you quit and then just start going after it. Like, you're traveling. Did you feel like the traveling thing was kind of an interest of yours? Like, had you been traveling
my whole
much
life.
before? You were?
Yeah, my whole life. We love to travel.
Like, with your family?
Yeah. And I grew up in Queens, where like I had every all the cultures were around me. Like, I had access to all of that. So it felt like home when I did travel.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so opposite
I know.
from where I'm from.
I know. I wish you could have just had like
I know. I'm
a
always jealous of my
year in
friends.
Queens.
I know. It's always so cool to see everyone that it's just a melting pot of everything, and the food is fucking
a beautiful
bananas.
thing. Oh, the food is. That's why I'm such a foodie right now. I landed here in LA and I was like, I can't wait to get some tacos tonight. It's dinner time in New York. I need some tacos.
I know. I guess we didn't even think about that. You're a trooper for this. Thank you for doing this.
I got my black with no
no coffee
cream.
will hold us over. So as you start traveling, as you start getting these clients, are you do you feel like you're starting to dial in your look like with your photography?
Yeah, I mean, you're always like switching stuff up. You know, you evolve.
Yeah.
And every campaign is different. Like, when I work with tourism boards, when I work with hotels, they want like a clean shot.
Mm-hmm.
They want it for their websites.
Yeah.
But when you work with other brands, they want something a little bit more urban, more fun. Like,
right.
It's a beautiful thing. I like to do it all.
Yeah.
It's fun to switch it up. If you're constantly doing the same thing,
get tired.
Yeah,
right.
Burnt out.
Yeah,
it's not fun.
So then, how do you start how do you start to learn how to tap into those different networks, like tourism boards, and figuring that out? Like, are you just like, yo, it'd be cool to fly here someday. Like, let me try to tap in.
Yeah. So I believe that relationships are everything. And I also believe in manifestation.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that you have to really know what you want in order to grab that, right?
Right.
And then with that, you build the relationships that are aware of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, look at where you're at right now.
Crazy, right? If you're listening on audio, you need to check us out on YouTube, because
I know
she's talking about our dope ass set.
It's wild.
I know it is. Yeah, but it is true. Like, part of it's, I think, just growth over time is going to come naturally, but you have to be like super committed.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, and just have like that, not necessarily like know where you're heading, but just putting your head down, and putting the work in. But like, are you just like desiring to travel? Because I know at some point you just were like, yo, I'm gonna get out of my apartment shit. Yeah. Also, shout out to you. I was like literally just, because I try not to eat too much up, because I like to learn about it like in real time. Mm-hmm. This is why I made this look like a coffee shop, because that's what I usually do when I'm meeting someone for real.
Oh, that's dope.
But I thought it was cool that you talk about like you just got rid of your apartment and fucking just dipped and let Instagram like dictate where you would go.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah,
that was fun. Yeah, I felt so every time I travel, I always extended my trip. Right. So if I was working for a Hawaii tourism board, I'd stay for an extra week and do my own thing. Any place I would go, I just want to stay there.
Right.
And then, I'm obviously paying New York City rent prices. I'm barely ever there. And I always felt like I needed to go back and stay there. And I felt like it was like tying me down.
Yeah.
And I love my apartment. I love stuff. I love my sneakers. I love my things.
Right.
And I realized like all of that stuff was holding me back and tying me down. So I decided back in 2019, end of 2018, that I wanted to give up my apartment and travel for the year nonstop. And which is pretty ironic thinking about it, because
perfect timing,
then
low-key.
COVID.
Yeah, you got it out of your system early. Like,
right.
Good Lord.
I know.
Did you have any inspiration? Like, have you ever seen the YouTube channel Yes Theory?
Yes.
they say yes and then they just go somewhere. And that
Yes.
sounds like very similar to what you did.
I recently learned about that.
Yeah.
At the time I didn't. And this was just more of like I just want to. I knew a few people who were just living on the road, and I was like, I want that life. Like you always want what you don't have.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
I know.
and then you do it, and you're like, holy shit, this is hard.
Yeah.
You know,
Was it hard?
Oh my God, Listen, I had some of the most phenomenal experiences, but I also was really lonely at times too. But it's cool because I also got to connect with so many dope creators globally.
Yeah.
That like I wouldn't have had that opportunity. And it felt like I was back home in Queens, linking up with my friend that's Indian, and they take me around their hood, and it was dope.
Yeah.
You know, I went to India by myself.
So sick.
Like, and as a woman, I didn't know at the time. I literally put on an IG post like, should I go? I was in Hong Kong. I was like, should I go to India? Should I not? The Holy Festival. Like, I really want to shoot it. What do I do? And everyone's like, you can't go there alone. Like, it's really dangerous for women.
Oh wow.
And this kid that actually won a helicopter flight with me. I had a contest, and he's from India, and he like loves my work, and he ended up winning this helicopter. He was in New York for school.
Okay, word.
He won the contest. He hit me up, and he was like, you should go link with this photographer. I'll connect you and shoot the Holy Festival. So that's what ended up happening. And I like built this like incredible relationship with him and like 5 of his like photography friends, and felt super safe with them. Like they showed me the ropes. They you know, they taught me words. And
That's
India,
so
like,
sick.
yeah. So it's like experiences like that like I can't ever take. Like it
outbalances the
loneliness.
shitty parts. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Because you know, then there are times I was in Thailand, and I was in Koh Samui in this beautiful resort on the beach. The beach is empty. And I'm listening to my AirPods, and my feet are in the water, and I'm just like looking around. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, this is great, but like, what am I doing?
I'm going to stop the podcast real quick just for a second to talk about the illest thing I've ever done as a creative. And in my opinion, that was start the Black Window Cream community. Creating like an online place for creatives of all walks of life, whether you're just getting started or you've been doing this for 25 years, for everyone to be able to come into a safe space and connect with each other has just been so motivating. I see people share their ideas, provide tips and tricks. They're offering job opportunities. If people are getting hired, they're connecting, they're building friendships, like real authentic friendships, by just being in this creative space together. It's such a cutthroat industry, and I feel like we're always just pitted to be against each other, or to try to flex on each other all the time on social media and stuff. But this is not that. It's the exact opposite. The walls are down. We're all just with each other, like as if we were in some massive coffee shop, just shooting the shit. So if you haven't joined the community, I highly suggest you check it out. BWNC.com/join. We would love to have you in there. It's $1 for the first month. Come and say hi. We'll see you in the community. All right, let's get back to this podcast episode.
It's kind of like interesting because I feel like that's like the ideal scenario that most people who are working 9 to 5s like hope for. Like,
right.
Like that's my mom. She listens to this. She's gonna agree with it. She's nodding her head right now. My mom's whole thing is like, I want to just go sit by the beach. Like,
Right.
I just need to see water and just sit. But it is funny that like when you can just make that kind of part of like a regular day in the life for yourself, that then you might miss like, I just want to be in a crowded ass train going to like a Yankees game or some shit.
Absolutely.
Which is hilarious because
Yeah.
it's like you wanted to leave that.
It's all about balance. Like you could want it all, you could have it all, but you know, you have to balance it out. You have to, if you're at the beach every day, it's not going to be as special. You need to, you need to experience different things.
Did you do one like a year of travel, or like what'd you do? Did you like, was it like consistently like new city, new country type thing?
Yeah. I would go
Never
with the
came back.
flow. I came back to New York here and there.
Yeah.
Obviously my family was
it's
there
your
and
family,
stuff like that.
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And like certain jobs and stuff, like I would come back. It really depends. It was where the work took me and where I wanted to travel to too, like a kind of like a bucket list thing.
How much, like what percentage would you say is, nice rock, by the way. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Shout out to you.
Shout
How
out
much
to
of
Peter
the,
Rosenberg?
right, I know.
You're
I'm
gonna meet
excited.
him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I actually have a funny story for him because the first time, like the time I got found,
Right.
I snuck onto a stage at South by Southwest to shoot a rapper dude I was with.
And he was there.
Yeah, he was there.
Dope.
It was cool. I thought it was cool because I've been listening to the interviews and shit forever. I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh, nice.
Sick.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. That was a random sidebar. What I was gonna say is, what do you think? Like, what's the percentage of the traveling that was tied to work, and then how much of it was like I wanted to go here and the bucket list thing?
Honestly, like I said earlier, everything is like a blur to me.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the percentage or what I do know though, like if I wanted to travel somewhere, I would hit up different like hotels that I would work with and say, hey, do you need any shots from this hotel? And they would like let me know, and I would get some work in that route too.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so it really was a blur.
Sam Newton was just on the podcast. It was another collab member, and a lot of his stuff was very similar to that, where he was like just trying to get it out there, and they would just like cold email everybody and start to do it that way. And it's so cool how that, like, it's very possible to do that, but I think a lot of people are afraid to. It's definitely, I know it's probably, he said he emailed like 5,000 people and get like 3 to respond or some shit. But like, I think it's the fear factor. Like, it's the fear of change and the fear of like, anytime you travel, I'm like, oh fuck, I need to pack like another bag because do I need my tripod? I don't know. Like, you like overthink shit, but like to like minimize what it is, and that's what minimalism. Right. Like, it's very much doing that. Like, you literally living out of a suitcase is like,
by the end of my whole journey, like, I knew exactly what I needed. Like, I was so good at packing. It was wild.
Yeah.
Like,
what's your advice to someone that would want to do something similar to that? Like, if someone was about to start to shoot photos, or maybe just they got some extra cash, they want to travel around, but also are interested in shooting photos along the way, maybe not for a client. Right. What would be your advice to someone that's about to hit the road, flights, whatever you call it?
Well, do they have money to hit the roads? Or
say they saved up. Like, one of my good friends, he traveled all through like Thailand. He was backpacking through Australia and stuff, but not for a job. Like, he literally just saved up to do it. And then he also would take photos on the side.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So maybe there's that case, but also, I think the big tips are like, there is a way to make some money on the road.
Oh, you could definitely make money on the road. You have to like build a portfolio and show these people like what you can actually do and how you can help them. Everybody needs content. Mm-hmm. Think about how much content we consume on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Everybody needs content.
Right.
So whether, if he's traveling and he wants to save some money and shoot a room for a hotel, great. But he can also make money too if he digs deeper and reaches out to people and see who needs that content.
Would there be like a way that you'd like present? Like, were you like ever making
decks
and shit?
I made decks.
Yeah.
I had a deck of like my stuff of
like here's what I can do for hotels
who I am and what I can do, and
sick. Like a press kit or whatever.
For sure.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. It's interesting. So was it the pandemic that made you come home?
No.
Or were you back before then? You were 2019, you traveled.
Yeah, I came back, but I was still traveling. I was looking for an apartment, then the pandemic hit.
Like right when you were looking?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so it was...
Did you find one?
Interesting. Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living here was weird during the pandemic. New York seemed like insane.
Yeah.
How did you adjust to that, being like this freelance creative who needs and loves being around people and culture? Then you can't do that.
I was so burnt out at that time. Like, I was so tired. I was actually kind of I'm like, this is like a 24/7 slumber party. Like, I bought a PlayStation and I play Call of Duty with my other photographer friends.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, let me take this break.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And at first, obviously it's still scary. Obviously you don't want people to die and like, right. It's like really sad. But I was just, I would be home. I would do my own thing, and then it hits you. Then you're like, wow, 6 months passed. Like, what did I do this whole time?
Right.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And then like you start feeling like that depression kind of come in. I don't know if you experienced that.
Well, yes.
I know a lot of creatives, they were going through it. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Like, our job, like, no matter what type of creative you are, that's the beautiful thing, is like, you never know what you're going to end up doing, right? So you always have to keep hustling for that next kind of job. And the moment you can't do that, which was like the pandemic, you can't really hustle to find the next job, then it's like, hold up, like, what am I doing? What's going on? So it's like
And if so much of your stuff is revolves around like partnerships and things like
Right.
that, and like a lot of those
I
companies,
lost so much money. I lost 6 figures that year. Like
Oh my
all
God.
everything, all
Oh,
the
fuck.
festivals that I was gonna do, all the everything.
what kind of festivals? Like music festivals?
I was gonna do music festivals. Yeah.
Like traveling to them and stuff like that too?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the brutal reality is like when that happens and so much of it revolves around event
Mm-hmm.
or live things and it shifted. We kept the podcast going because we kept trying to talk to other creatives that were going through it and be like,
Right.
cool, like how have you been dealing with it and trying to like get that out there because so many people were finding creative ways to work. And it was cool to see people start scratching their heads and then find alternative ways to like make money, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
But like for people that relied on, obviously everyone lost hella money and
I
family
mean,
members and shit.
listen, I
That's
still
like the
found
least of
ways
our
to
worries.
make money. I
No,
still
I know,
found
I know.
ways to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
money.
so did I.
But
One of my best years was during COVID.
oh, nice.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
But there was like 6 months where there was nothing, and
Right.
you're like starting
and
to panic.
it gets to your head.
Yeah, because we rely on that. Like when you had JP Morgan,
Right.
you would have fucking just
Work
kept
from
working.
home,
Yeah,
right.
you'd be just on Zoom and shit, and it would have been all good. But like,
Right.
but also that goes with like preparing or like, you know, this isn't gonna become a finance podcast, even though that's like what you learned in college. But it's like
Right.
preparing for shit like that. Like if you
You
can,
gotta prepare for a rainy day. That's what my parents say. You know,
smart folks.
right?
So
gotta-
so when you start like getting the itch again, did you find were you starting to find alternative like hustles and like things that you
Oh,
were doing?
for,
Like,
for sure.
what were some of
And-
the work you were doing?
And at the time, I was like, all right, I'm back in New York. Like, I want to build my life here. Like, this is where I want to have a family. Like, I want to meet a partner. Like, I want to be here.
Yeah.
And I would find gigs here and there, but it's a different hustle. I'm
Yeah.
not working with tourism boards. I'm not working with hotels, and
Yeah.
it's just a different kind of a thing.
Could the tourism boards were the projects like did they take a long enough time that it would be realistic that you could like travel like live in New York but travel out and do a thing?
Yeah. I did that before I traveled.
You were doing that?
nonstop. Yeah.
What's like can you break down like what that would look like if you were gonna go work with them for someone who hasn't done it before?
Yeah, you get a 2-week itinerary. Depends on how long you're gonna stay in that place. You get a shot list of what they need.
And they just like take you into like this is the illest version of Abu Dhabi.
Exactly. They take you to the best. They obviously want the best photos, right? They're
Right.
and you have to work with their team and make sure that they know, like, all right, let's do a sunset for this one. Let's do, like you have to figure it out together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So you are pivoting, but you also want to stay at home. So then what are you changing about your grind that
Yeah.
makes it make sense in New York?
I'm looking for New York gigs,
Yeah.
Events in New York, brands in New York, things of that nature. Working with people locally.
But I feel like you're like that person for New York, right? So does it make it easier to crack open doors, like to build those relationships and you know what I mean? Like people catch wind of you, but like I don't know. We had a Tiba Jefferson on here, dude. Like runs LA,
Right.
Like
Right.
it's like crazy to see.
But
like,
it's not like you have to work on those relationships, and
Yeah.
you have to let people know you're available, and,
Right.
and you want to work together.
So with the helicopter stuff, is
Yeah.
this like when they reached out to you originally, the first time you did it, they're just looking for content for their platform, I'm assuming?
They were new to social media too.
Yeah.
Like they didn't know what they were doing, and then together we're like, yo, we could really blow this up. And now they have like a really strong big business out in New York.
Yeah. Do you still work with that company?
I work with everyone.
Right. That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. So when you're up, because you're up all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like it's like you catch every sunset,
Yeah.
right? Like everyone else
Yeah.
is in buildings, you're like up in the air dangling and shit, which
Yeah.
is so tight.
It's a good time. You got to do it.
What is when you go up? Is it literally just for you to just for you, or are you going up? Like, is there objectives? Is like,
So it's mostly for me.
yeah,
Like I'll come out of pocket too if I'm traveling. Like I make sure I get a helicopter because that's my passion. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I also sell fine art photography prints, right?
Right,
So
right.
I was like, I want to make prints and I want to have a whole aerial collection. Like that's one of my goals.
that's dope.
But then there could be a brand, like I've done a Jordan shoot dangling Jordans from a helicopter, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But there's only so much of that you can really
Right,
do.
right.
You know? So it's
Yeah.
definitely more of like my passion, what I love.
Just chasing the
Yeah,
adrenaline of
yeah.
it. Is it what advice do you give to someone that's gonna shoot aerial photography? Like what are you bringing with you? Are you dual wheeling cameras? Is there that much time? Like how much time are you in the air for?
Honestly, less is more. It depends. You could do 30 minutes, you could do 15 minutes, you could do an hour. I'd obviously always recommend an hour. Like I don't like to rush things.
Yeah.
But yeah, less is more, and like it depends on how often you want to go too. Like it's fun to switch up lenses. You obviously want to be able to, you know, have versatile shots and
Right.
stuff. But yeah.
Who was there anyone else that got you into that? Or was it just literally the random like, hey, do you
No,
want to come? And
it
you
was
just
the random. Hey.
it seems terrifying. That's what I'm getting at.
I
The
mean-
doors open and shit. I don't know how you I mean, I get it, but I also just like look at it like, you know,
Right.
you could fall out that fucking thing.
You can. And it's sketchier out west too. Like when I fly out here, you know, you're in a smaller helicopter. They just give you a seatbelt. They don't even harness you. Like if you move the wrong way, your seatbelt can unclip. Like it's scary.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Do they have rules and shit so that you're
Every
only
state, every place, every country has different rules.
right.
You know, and I've been in sketchy situations. Like it's been real in a helicopter for sure.
Can you share that?
Yeah, there's this one time in Morocco that I was working with this hotel out there, and I was there with a bunch of creators. Back then they were like Vine creators, so it was like a mob of us, like I would say like 30 of us, right? And then they knew, like they're like, oh, we need to get Nat in a helicopter. So like somebody pulled strings, like I had like, I don't know, the King's military helicopter, like fly me out to the Blue City. That's what I wanted to shoot. It's an hour flight from where I was, so I had to fly an hour to get there.
In the King's helicopter?
Like a military helicopter. I don't know.
Sick.
I don't know who organized
Right.
it, but they made it happen.
Yeah.
So we had to fly an hour to the Blue City and then shoot the Blue City and then fly an hour back, and then they flew me like directly to the airport, right? Because I had a flight to catch to go home. But on our way there, it was a little uncomfortable. You know, I'm in a different country. I'm a woman. You know, I'm with these military guys. I actually had one of my friends, Dan, who was a video creator. I was like, "You want to get in a helicopter?" He's never done it before, so he was like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah.
So he's like vlogging it, and you know, we got there like 6 a.m. We had to leave our place like 2 a.m. just to drive to the location to get to where we were flying to. And I could feel like a little uncomfortable because I feel like these military dudes are like looking at me like, why are we flying this girl? Like, who is she?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what we're doing.
Right.
Get in the helicopter, and it was like really like stuffy in there, you know, like hot and stuffy and bright. I remember it being really bright.
What do you mean bright? Like the lights inside of the thing?
Like we were flying in the clouds and it was really bright. And I was like, why are we in the clouds? Like I've never done this before. And I remember thinking like, well, it's a military helicopter. They know what they're doing. Like, fine.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden, like the engine stops.
Shut the fuck up.
The engine just stops. And we were going down, and they're kind of, yelling in Arabic, flipping through like pages in a manual. I don't even know how, like, what was going on. And all of a sudden the dude was able to like pick it back up.
What?
And I was just sitting there. I put my sunglasses on and I was crying I didn't want them to see me. So I was like wiping my tears and I was just like really emotional. My boy was just shook.
Oh,
like,
the worst first time.
Me and him are holding hands like, like.
Oh my God.
It was, and we still had 45 minutes to fly just to get to the place to take the doors off to shoot it.
To shoot from that helicopter?
To shoot from that helicopter.
Nah.
I know.
But you did.
I don't speak the language. Like I just.
What
just
the
did
fuck?
it.
Like, so you mean like you're going and all of a sudden it's like kind of like the silent sound, like the free fall?
Yeah, like you don't hear the engine anymore, and then you do the free fall. Like it was wild. It was wild.
Yo, who's just like casually free falling, like looking through a manual to figure out how to turn back on?
It wasn't like that. It was like he whipped it out, and everyone's yelling, and it was like a thing.
Oh my God. So did you ever find out like what the deal was?
No, I didn't. I didn't find out what the deal was, but like then, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
He was also in the clouds.
Mm.
So like I spoke to listen, I didn't speak to them about what happened, but I spoke to my pilots back home who I have a relationship with, and I'd be like, yo, this, like, we were flying in the clouds, and they're like, you were flying in the clouds? Like, you're not supposed to fly in the clouds. Like moisture and shit like can fuck with the helicopter.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's
That's so fucking crazy.
yeah.
So, but still, like, didn't cross, like, it doesn't scare you enough to make you shake that, obviously.
I after that I was like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this as much. Like, I definitely didn't do it as much at the time, and then it obviously picks back up because you're like, I gotta fly here. I'm in Hong Kong. I gotta get in a helicopter. Like,
That's so insane. That is terrifying.
yeah.
What? Moving on from that. what you talked about doing the contest and the kid getting the free flight. Like, what was that? Like, are you always? I know you've done stuff like where you've brought people together and you've taken people on like walks and what is that? Is that just like out of passion? Or are you doing that with collaborations with people? Or are you?
That was out of passion. But I was actually working. I was working on a video for Nike. Me and my boy, and they wanted me in the video. So my boy, Joey Cavallini, I don't know if you know him. He's such a dope videographer. Joey Cav.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like I know?
Because he's amazing.
I'm sure I do.
Yeah.
Well, why are you keep
so me and him were in the helicopter. Like we booked a flight, and I had an extra seat, and I was like, let me just do a giveaway. Like, why not? So I did this giveaway on social, and this dude won, and he was like the cutest thing. I still have the videos. It makes me, moments like that make me happy. Like people who like appreciate these moments.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think like community obviously is so important, and there's so many people.
Everything.
Yeah. Do you find in New York the community there is it easy to engage in that community there? Like, as far as people getting together and sharing insight and value and things
Absolutely.
like that?
And it depends on you and how open you are and how, and the effort that you put in to meet up with people, and for sure.
Yeah.
I think the photography community as a whole is pretty good with that when it comes to like linking up with people and talking about real stuff, because it's not easy what we do.
Yeah.
People see the glitz and glamour and the helicopter and the brands, but no, like there's so much blood, sweat, and tears, and hardship that goes along with it. Like,
and they didn't hear that fucking engine shut off.
And then,
Dude, that's terrifying.
Right.
That's literally terrifying.
Right.
But is with Canon, because this was last year when we signed, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like being able to get that handout, like them hitting you up and like trying to sign you?
A dream come true.
This is literally not me doing this because we're in their facility or anything like this. This is because
but look at what this is what I mean though. Look at what they do for their creatives.
Yeah, no,
like
it's the coolest.
Like you want to do podcasts, they built a whole incredible studio for you. Like you have coffee beans.
We do. They smell
you
good too.
You should actually sell some coffee beans. I'm just saying.
I know. People say it. We gotta figure out our merch shit.
But that's what I love about working with the brand is that, if there's something that you want to do, they'll help facilitate it and help make it happen and put you in the right direction.
Yeah. It's such a. I think it's like so. I mean, that was the first camera I ever bought, and I always just remember like the feeling of that, and then to have them care that much.
Insane.
What have been some of the projects you've been able to do since you've joined this?
So I'm working on a video. It's releasing soon.
Ooh.
I'm really excited for it.
This will probably come out like top of the year.
I made a few videos with the C70. Have you tested that camera?
Yeah, we just shot on a emo cruise.
Emo cruise.
We were on an emo cruise.
An emo cruise?
Yeah, everyone was sad on that boat.
Wait, what?
It was tight. It was like a cruise line. Emo's Not Dead is this brand.
Okay.
My friend works with the company, and they like had us come out. Yeah, but we shot.
Everyone's dressed in black?
Yeah.
right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Dark.
Actually, everyone had like hella like swimsuits on and shit.
Oh, okay.
It was really funny.
Oh,
like,
wow.
but it was like my era from back in the day, like all these bands on the shit. It was really cool. But they did bring this. We had 2 C70s out there. We had a bunch of Canon shit, but it was really dope. It's ridiculous. Do you like it from a documentary standpoint?
Oh, it's incredible.
What are the project? What's the I mean, this will literally come out probably like January, February. So I don't know if that helps with your
probably,
timeline.
Yeah, that's fine. It's probably already going to be out. So I did a few videos. Some of them were just like New York, like documenting New York. So I did like a lot of the protests and stuff like that. So that was like my first kind of video. I didn't release that yet.
Yeah.
A little hard with Canon legal because we obviously want to make sure that we don't have certain things. And back then it was a little bit of a dark time.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So
know.
I made a little bit of a dark video in that sense. I am going to release it because I do love it.
Right.
And I made a few other videos, a lot of aerials. I have a lot of aerial footage.
Sick.
And now I made a video kind of on myself on the creative journey.
Oh, really?
Where I got one of my boys to. I've never worked with him before to film it, and then I did the edit, which is actually like a learning experience for me. I've never edited somebody else's footage.
Yeah.
So that was like a new thing that I had. Yeah, I know you. You have,
Yeah,
you have a whole team.
Well, no, but I've also edited a lot. Like I've dealt with that too. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really great, and sometimes it's
Yeah,
a disaster.
it has a challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge for sure.
Do you feel like do you direct? Have you been caught direct? I know you. I feel like I've seen that you directed something. But I can't remember what it was that I watched. Have you directed like visuals?
I definitely did. I don't remember either.
I don't know. Is that like an interest to you? Because if you go back to like the movie days, is it
for sure?
Is this kind of like a like next step
that's
for
why
you?
I love Canon. I spoke to the team. I'm like, I really want to get into videos. And they helped me do that.
I was curious about your NFT drops because I only knew a few people that had success in it, and you were one of them. And you dropped like a whole collection and sold out like pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
What got you into that, and how did you kind of decide what you wanted to share and like allow to go to the ether? No pun intended.
Right. Well, I believe in crypto.
Yeah.
Right. Like cryptocurrency is a real thing that like I think can help solve a lot of the world's problems.
Right.
Not everything, obviously. So I was always into crypto, and then during the pandemic, people were starting to talk about NFTs, and then once I learned about it, I was like, wait, you want me to sell you my JPEG? I was like, you couldn't pay me enough to sell you my JPEG.
Yeah, right.
And then you learn more about it, and you're like, wait a minute, you could get royalties, and this is like generational wealth, and like you still have rights to your photos. It's not like you're giving the rights away.
Sure.
And it's just been a really cool, interesting journey in the NFT space.
What was the theme around that drop?
That first drop that I did, it was called Flight Club, and it was a collection of images of me dangling my feet.
Tight.
In different cities. I had like 100, and then I narrowed it down to 30.
God damn.
And I have way more to be honest. I just like didn't know what I wanted to do for my drop, and I'm still a little nervous like giving away my JPEGs. And I was like, you know what? I started collecting sneakers, and this is a collectible item, and nobody has as much dangling shots
dangling.
right than me.
Right.
So I was like, this can be an interesting, fun take.
Yeah.
And it sold out in a couple of minutes. It was pretty wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Sick.
Thank you. Yeah.
I paid attention to it. I didn't have anything to like, there was nothing I could really participate with it in my opinion, but I watched a lot of people find success, and it was cool to see that you like crushed that. I don't know. It's a really interesting like lane to go down. And I know people, there's obviously the whole fucking world's like in a turmoil right now, but you got engaged.
Yeah.
So your mission before to get back and like start a family and fucking settle down worked.
Yes.
Congrats.
I know. Manifestation. You have to like want something and believe in it to have it. And I found like the perfect person, like my soulmate. Which is wild.
What do you feel?
That was during the pandemic too.
Was it?
That was a month into the pandemic.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Online dating apps were crushing at the time, or what was going on?
Dating apps? No, this was actually, he hit me up on Twitter.
There you go. Hell yeah, there we go. Yeah.
And he, and at the time I was like, oh, Peter Rosenberg, dope. He probably needs a photographer. Like, what are we going to do?
Right.
But then he hit me with a line, and I was like, oh, he's like sliding in the DMs. He's sliding.
And it worked.
And our first date was like on FaceTime.
Oh,
he like whipped out
cute.
records and stuff too.
That's tight.
It was really cute. Yeah.
How do you feel like things are transitioning for you now? Like in that idea of like you're able to settle down and stay in New York and be able to flourish there.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? And like, how does that play into like your kind of like 5-year plan that you have for yourself if you have one?
Yeah, of course I do. It's an interesting time for me. Like a lot of changes are happening. We moved in together. I'm engaged, planning a wedding. I'm building up a whole studio where we're gonna have a co-studio, like me, Cypher Sounds. He's gonna have his office there. I'm having my office in this is my old apartment. I couldn't let it go. I'm on the 42nd floor.
So sick.
Rent is like still the same price that I was paying. Like,
I
gotta keep this.
Yeah.
And they're gonna build a podcasting studio there too. So
dope.
we're in the middle of doing that. Just a lot going on.
Yeah.
In my personal life.
Right.
But it's all going in the right direction.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Congrats. Happy for you.
Thank you.
We obviously could talk forever. I'm glad to get you on the show, and thank you for fucking flying. I know she flew all the way here to do this, and then coincidentally is going to ComplexCon. That's how this worked out.
Right.
Yeah. Are you gonna ride a helicopter while you're here?
Nah, I don't know. You want to do it? We could do it.
Oh fuck no, not after that last
Hit
story.
up my boy and see if he wants to fly us.
Maybe. I guess everyone listening will find out if I dangle my feet out the thing.
Yeah,
That'd be tight.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
it's fun.
I don't know. Fucking
Nice
scared.
weather. It's not that cold here.
So this is what we do when we wrap these.
Okay.
You have to pick a hashtag, okay?
Hashtag.
Yeah, so check this out. Everyone that's listening has to go to your last Instagram post, whatever your post is at the time that they listen to it. When they get this far, they're gonna hear this hashtag, they're gonna put it, they're gonna tag me, Ben Rover's World. Then we'll both know that they finished the whole fucking episode.
This is a lot of pressure.
It always is. And
Are
I
you
can't
gonna
help you.
help me?
No.
What?
No. Yeah. And don't make it some generic shit that you're used to, like if you ever use a hashtag.
This is too much. I
No.
don't know.
We can take time. We can cut. We can trim fat. It's just how it is.
Everything that I'm coming up with in my head is so corny, and
Sam.
I can't say it out loud. Hell no, this is so embarrassing.
What was the first one that you thought of?
No, I don't want to say it.
It could work.
Air cream.
Air
I'm
cream.
like,
What the fuck?
that's
is
what
that?
I said. I was like, this is like,
No,
hey,
we're
yo,
rolling with it.
like,
we're
whoa,
we're rolling with it
no.
because think about how funny that is. Like 3 years from now, you're just getting air cream.
And
at
I'll be
your-
like, what? That sounds really
but it's
bad.
just tagging me, so everyone's like, "What the?"
I was looking down. I said black with no cream, and like
Yeah,
Air Misshattan. And
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
even know.
All right, you
This
can
is terrible.
choose two. You can choose the second one.
No, I don't even see. Then it's gonna be worse. I can't do it. Can you choose one for me, please?
No, we'll go with air cream.
Please.
You've said one.
All right, fine, whatever.
We're sticking with it.
Let's see. We'll stick with it. I guess is that.
All right, y'all heard it. Do it.
It's
Let us
terrible.
know. I appreciate you.
Yikes.
Thank you for doing this. For real.
Thanks for having me.
It's always awesome.
You're incredible.
And I'm glad we finally got to meet.
I know.
It's the best.
I know.
All right, tight. Thanks for listening, everybody. Love y'all.
Cheers.
Yo, it's Ben. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's episode. We have plenty of episodes that have come out in the past, and we're dropping new ones every single Sunday for season 2. So make sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening to or watching on. And if you haven't joined Black with No Cream community, what you doing? It's the best community for creators on the planet Earth. Go to bwnc.com/join. We would love to see you in there. Please join. All right, see you next week.